Hey folks, scew-up team on air and welcome to Space Engineers 2. I believe that one of the crucial updates actually arrived as they added one of the crucial blocks, and this is conveyors, of course. You probably noticed that I'm not recording too many videos about Space Engineers 2, and it's because I'm not too creative person, I'm mostly mechanical person, and while we don't have some mechanical stuff it's in game, it's really hard for me to kinda invent something. Well, but now there is a sense to speak about these conveyors, and let's start from the differences from Space Engineers 1 that we can see immediately. Well, first things first, now we can access inventory through any conveyor port, and that's just incredible invention. That's something that we looked for years or even for ages, because it's not necessary anymore to have connectors all around our ships just because we can access inventory through the conveyor. That's so logical, so simple and so cool. Well, about other differences, this conveyor junction, in Space Engineers 2 it's named no junction somehow, but we have two options for each part, and it's actually a big option 2.5 meters and a small option for half a meter. Also, we finally have built-in cross junction in game, also for big and small, and as in new things, we have these slices, or I'm gonna call them frames, because for me it's more natural. So what these frames do is actually we have option for half meter, and we also have option for quarter meter, which is just beautiful because we can match now any conveyors with any alignments that we need. That's great. For small conveyor we actually have only one option, it's quarter meter though, but that's fine, they're small. Other things that I should mention is that conveyor adapters that we have in base game and from the beginning, which is great. They actually give us an ability to convert our conveyor from the big one to the small one, and yeah, that's what we looked for all this time. Speaking about these adapters, they give us an ability to actually build any shape that we need, shape of junction I mean, and if we want to cross but with one port actually in a third dimension, not only two, easy, we can just build it. Just slap two these cups on this block in any direction you need and you have it. Obviously they're connected through small conveyor, which means bandwidth could be a little bit reduced, but I believe that this is fine, that's not a big deal, that's better than nothing. And taking advantage of all that frames, we actually can align any conveyors. As you see, these two conveyor tubes misaligned by 3 dimension, and yeah, we can connect them using small conveyor, of course, but that's not a big deal, we can do that. Next, let's talk about how to build them in some walls. Unfortunately, we still have only one really airtight block for outer connections, and it's this node junction. It's airtight. This thing is not airtight basically because we can't build a block further to it, closer to it. This is not a buildable space, unfortunately. As you see, I can't fit even small decorative block inside, and even if we're trying to use a straight conveyor tube, unfortunately it's not gonna be airtight because of that cut corners. So yeah, no airtightness like this. But the good news is that I believe we don't need to do stuff like that. and I am explaining why in a minute. First things first, try to avoid decorating your walls in this way with conveyors, because these junctions are basically not connected to the conveyor right now, and let me show you why. So if I select other block and try to place it here, as you see, it's trying to be half meter upper than the floor itself, and if I place it to the floor itself, it's not gonna be connected. In this position it's connected, in this position it's not, and this is because we have that gap between the port itself and the outer shape of the block, and you should take that in mind. In this case, all the things connected, all the things nice, and we have actually this T-junction port exposed to be able to access an inventory, but this frame looks kinda ugly, yeah? So, how we can do that beautifully? Let's see to the options. Firstly, you can cover it with catwalks, because basically we have unified grid, so-called unified grid. I'm probably gonna explain this in a separate video. Well, but we can place catwalks, but most importantly we have even space to place some nice lightning inside. That's really beautiful. That's gonna be really beautiful. We can hide those conveyors inside our walls, cover them in a beautiful ways, like with catwalks, with windows, and even has not nice light inside. What could be better? And I don't know about you, but this approach kinda reminded me armored conveyor blocks from Space Engineers 1. And firstly, I was about to complain that now we don't gonna have them, but then I realized that now we can build it ourselves. Well, this is basically armored conveyor, and as we go to the back, as you see, it's totally closed, totally airtight and sealed. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. We can seal it from the outside, and if we imagine that this is the internal wall of our ship, base or rover or whatever, we can actually leave it exposed like this to access this port, or cover it with windows, with some decoration blocks, and obviously place some light inside, which is actually really great. That's give us endless opportunity to design our own blocks, our own covered conveyors and stuff like that. Okay, with that done, let's see what other cool features we have now. Firstly, that's an old-fashioned way to build conveyors. We kinda just build a manifold here and all the branches to each production unit that we need, but it takes a lot of space and actually looks just ugly. That's why I thought that now, obviously not for all productions, but for reactors, we can do something like that. We can build manifold from the big conveyor and add this small conveyor branch to the sides, connecting any of our stuff. And if the things that true in Space Engineers 1 will also be true in Space Engineers 2, small conveyor actually can transfer ingots, and we don't need a huge bandwidth to actually feed reactors. Their consumption pretty small, so we can do it like this. And as you see, it's much more compact and much more beautiful. Now let's talk about the last approach that we kinda have in Space Engineers 1 already. It's approach about building some production blocks inside floor and just connecting them with conveyor. The major difference here is since now we can cover all Z conveyors as we want, we can kinda cover it with catwalks, with windows, and even build our own grills if we wish. That's really great, that's really cool stuff, and all of them connected through the big conveyor, which gonna work just perfectly. The only minor flaw that I actually experienced, as you see, it's kinda might be a little bit of a problem, because these lines are misaligned, and if I try to connect it without using control and without using precision grid, it's not gonna be connected. I believe that this small gap gonna be fixed soon, and we'll have nice way to connect these conveyors, and they're gonna stick automatically. That will be really great. The last stuff that I kinda noticed, because when conveyors arrived, I was thinking that they are actually for these ports, and you know, they're kinda similar, but not. That could be something special, and I'm really looking forward to know what it is, because it feels like we're gonna have energy network and some boost network or stuff like that, especially for these blocks. That's gonna be just great, that's gonna be just cool, so I'm looking forward to know that. And if you also look forward to know that, subscribe to the channel, I'm not gonna miss that update, definitely. Well, this is it for today, folks. Thanks for being here, thanks for your attention, and I see you in the next episode. Bye bye!